Hi, Carrie. Thank you so much for making the time to speak to me today. How are you doing?
Doing well, thanks. Thanks so much for having me. Excited to chat.
Yeah, it's likewise. I'm really glad that we could both make the time. So, just for our viewers today, can you tell us a little about yourself, your background, and how you got into the Web3 space and the spirit space? Because that's where you're building.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm the CTO, co-founder of BAXUS. We are a global marketplace for fine and rare collectible spirit.
Okay.
I'm from Toronto, Canada originally. I ended up like huge Leafs fan, unfortunately. And I ended up going to college at Columbia. I got recruited for rowing. And
Mm.
then there really just discovered this passion for computer science and technology. Like I was always a huge math nerd before that, but never really understood the whole computer side of it. And sort of had some internships in finance and was like, oh, and then did a software engineering position at the New York Times that was on their machine learning platform team. And I ended up majoring in AI and machine learning and was just like so excited about like the new technologies in the space and sort of what all this like development is and what's going on. And then really it was a summer abroad program in Berlin where when all of sort of ICOs started coming out and like crypto kitties happened. And I was like, what is going on? Like, what is this new technology that everybody is talking about? Like I have to learn more about this. And so in grad school, I took a distributed computing course and still at Columbia with Tim Roughgarden, who's just completely brilliant. And that just really opened my eyes to all of like the underlying technology and sort of how the world is slowly or quickly actually moving in this direction. And then I was the head TA for this databases course for all of undergrad and master's students. And just turned out that my co-founder Todd, who I didn't know before, ended up taking the course. And then he was just like messaged me after class and he was like, hey, like, can we meet? And I was like, okay. And then he has been a whiskey trader for like 6 years and just knew all of the inefficiencies in this space and was like, we got to do this. Like, we need to start this company. And I didn't like my family loves drinking wine. Like, we're definitely drinkers, but not necessarily, collectible traders. And
Right.
so just over the last like 2.5 years, have learned more about the market and have just become basically obsessed with figuring out all the different ways to make it more efficient and just really bring light to the trend, like the opaqueness, I would say.
Okay. So this is quite a, I would say that even I had heard of whiskey trading, at some point, but obviously I used to think that, okay, this can be a great use case for blockchain. And I have seen certain other products who have tried, perhaps platforms who've tried doing that, but they have not really taken off. But
Yeah.
for whatever reason, it might be that real world tokenization, any which way, comes with its own complexities. So, would you like to shed some light there on how your platform is different and walk us through, say, like a use case?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that question. That's an awesome question. I, I was like, yes, please let me talk about this. I would say for us, I wouldn't think of us as a blockchain company. We
Hmm.
are a whiskey company enabled by blockchain.
Right.
So, and that difference I think is really important because the majority of our user base and who we're building the product for and who we're creating these experiences for are like first and foremost like whiskey lovers, whiskey connoisseurs, people who are
Right.
just passionate about this and want easier ways to interact. And so that means that into every single interaction on the site, or working with one of our distilleries or something like that, we take that approach to it. So that means that even though there is blockchain activity going on, and we can give you education information about that, we don't try to, we really try to create a beautiful like product and experience so that you're not just using a technology and then thinking about why. It's like no, we're solving a problem, and the only way that we can solve the problem is through the
Is through
blockchain
that
technology.
technology.
But first and
Right.
foremost, we're solving a problem. So
Hmm.
I think that's like basically at the core of what we do in every product that we have. And so I think that has set us apart from some other companies.
Okay, wonderful. But then again, you said to kind of modernize the collectible spirits market using this technology. So can you tell us a little more about the core mission behind BAXUS and what kind of inspired you to take the leap with your co-founder to do this? Because again,
Yeah.
as you mentioned that you are wine, like even I drink wine, whiskey, but we don't really think about it as a collectible.
Yeah.
And how did
So
that happen?
definitely. So, I would say like the core mission, like what we do is, we're basically trying to really reconnect all of the different parts of this market and bring
Hmm.
light and bring information and understanding and price transparency, price efficiency to this market. Because right now it's very difficult to find these like more bespoke rare bottles or just
Hmm.
something that you want, and the only options are, hunting down at different liquor stores across the states. And I'm speaking, US specifically right now,
Hmm.
or going through different auction houses, online auctions. That's global as well.
Right.
But it's not like an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
And so really, we just want to make it so that consumers just have easier access to these like amazing, amazing bottles that then lead to, fun experiences and just really feel like they know and are educated in what fair prices are for these different assets, and then that they're buying, authentic, real goods and not getting ripped off by somebody. And so in that vision, I think the other part is that we've had to not just build one product, but in order to accomplish that, like we had to acquire this app called Booze App that you can download
Hmm.
on the App Store, and that gives you crowdsourced voting for fair prices of bottles, so that you can go to a liquor store and see whether you're being ripped off. We had to build a marketplace where you could buy and sell, these whiskeys and store your collection with us. And then we're also working with distilleries to install sensors in their rick houses, where they're maturing the whiskey, to give them more information about the temperature and the humidity and all the environmental factors affecting the maturation of their whiskey, and then to give them access to a new customer base. And sorry, get not new, but to give them a better access directly to their customer base,
Right.
instead of having to go through these
Any
suppliers. So
intermediary. Yeah. That
exactly,
goes
yeah.
away, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, so we've had to sort of attack it from all angles
Hmm.
all at once. But
Right.
so it's been fun. Not easy though.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, no, definitely not easy. I think real world asset tokenization comes with its own challenges. Obviously, there are a lot of things that you need to take care of, a lot of loops that you need to sort of ensure that
Totally.
you're fulfilling, and that comes with the territory, I think. So, if for like a lay consumer, is your
Mhm.
platform currently open? Can they just go and sign up and
Yeah, totally.
okay. Oh, wonderful.
100%.
So.
Just BAXUS.co. You can log in, you can buy any bottle.
All right, okay. And this is open globally, like, or is
Yes.
it? Okay, wonderful. So there is no, limitation in terms of geography as well.
No, no. That's where like a global marketplace. So
Hmm,
that the other thing is that we can't just, if we just did this in the States locally, we wouldn't really be solving all the problems that we needed
that
to
is
in
true.
order
Yeah.
for.
So you've mentioned that there were gaps already, like in the existing way of doing things, like the
Yeah.
perhaps the traditional auctions that happen, or the other ways in which users used to do this earlier. Because again, this is something like as a collectible whiskey and wines, this has been done for some time. Like it's seen as an asset class in itself. So what were the kind of gaps that you're trying to fill, apart from say just the authenticity part of a particular like a bottle, because that is like a no-brainer use case. But what are the other
Yeah,
gaps that you guys are trying to fulfill?
definitely. So I would say right now, if you want to look at how you would buy or find more of like a rare bottle, you can go to the auction houses.
Right.
And those will charge you to sell like around 30% either side.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
super, super crazy. And auctions only happen sometimes out of the year. Sometimes they don't have the stock or the allocation. It takes forever to get them to ship it to you. So that's the top of the market. So not that efficient. You can get something, but it's not that great. And then the bottom of the market is, obviously zero fee, but mostly through Facebook groups. And so you have to spend the time and the energy to, become a part of that, about that community, to make sure that you're trusted in that space, and then, source bottles through there. But if you're just a one-time consumer, you're first just getting into it, that's really hard as well. So we're basically filling in the middle, where it's like, okay, one of our users, for example, he was given 6 bottles from his grandfather and no idea what they were worth. And his grandfather had had them for, a couple like tens of years, and didn't know where to sell them and didn't want to go to an auction house because he was like, well, they're going to take 30% of this, and these are like worth some value, so where's the best place to do it? And so that's what we're filling in, is that middle, and by filling in that middle, that provides like price transparency and just really efficiency into the market.
Right. So very intrinsic, qualities that decentralized technologies kind of bring to the table. You are marrying it to this way of collectibles, as well as the auctioning system that is already in place. Is
Yeah,
that is my
totally.
understanding correct?
Yeah, so we basically like that the tokenization of the assets allows for us to be able to buy and sell different assets on the marketplace, and then not necessarily have to ship them to you. So if you want to buy a bottle but then store it with us because you don't want to drink it right now, or you want to hold on to it for a couple years, or it's like an anniversary present or something, then we keep it in our vault, but the NFT is in your wallet, it is yours, but we're the custodians for it because it's in our vault, and we're making sure that it's safe and under good conditions. And so that blockchain piece not only allows for lower transaction fees on the site because you can pay in crypto, so that's more efficient, and settlers being able to have access to their funds within minutes instead of traditional banking infrastructure, but then also in the classic form of a custodianship, if it's in your wallet, it's yours, and you can choose to do with that, what you wish. And so that is really sort of the why the technology is so important for us as a business.
Right. Yeah. You've put it in a very succinct, and the overview that you've given would give our viewers a very good idea about how this entire process end to end works. But, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this particular question. Like if whenever there is real world tokenization talked about, there are three things that are very important. Obviously, where is the manufacturing happening? But I guess that is already like a no-brainer use case, that you're using decentralized technologies and you're putting that information there. But what about like having a custodian and insurance? Is that something that you guys are taking care of as well?
Yeah, definitely. So all of our vaults are insured,
Okay.
and we're the custodian for all of the assets. And so when you have the token, like you're able to, redeem that for the bottle at any time, or resell it on the marketplace. But while it's under our care and within our custody, it is completely insured.
You've kind of put it in a very beautiful manner, and given us an end-to-end idea about how this entire process works and why this technology is very important, inherently important, if this industry has to perhaps move forward into the future and make the right kind of waves. But onto, if for like a user, if you had to talk about your USP and put it in one line, that okay, why should they use your platform as against any other platform? What would your pitch to them be?
Price transparency.
Okay. And the other platforms do not really offer price transparency when it comes to okay. So
No.
that's all right. Awesome. Great. So now, can you tell us a little bit more about like zooming out a little bit, like if we talk about the intersection of Web3 technology and traditional luxury markets, how do you see these emerging technologies making an impact on the way we think about, say, ownership, trading, or even collecting, like things like wine or other collectibles as well, not just in the spirit space. What is your take on that?
That's a great question. I think basically there's a lot of things that we take for granted right now in our current, banking financial infrastructure. Like we're okay that it takes, 4 days for money to transfer from one bank to another in the US.
Yeah,
That's just
yeah,
like, okay, cool, no stress. And that can be improved upon. Like
yeah.
we can make strides and make improvements so that you have more ownership and custody over the value of your assets and over like your money basically.
Hmm.
And so that to me is what really Web3 is all about, is about just taking ownership and taking custody of what you have, and not being dependent, or as being less dependent on third parties. And so when it comes to what we're dealing with, and sort of like custodianship and tokenization of assets. The thing that makes me so excited about the future is that you could not think of this, wine bottle as just, a wine bottle, but what happens if you want to take a loan out against it, right? What happens if you want to like stake it and gain yield? Like what happens if you want to swap it out for other tokens? And like the optionality just becomes so high, and it just puts all of the, ability to do all these things like on the end user, and you don't have to wait for any of this stuff to happen. You can just do it. And so I think once people start to realize like the freedom that comes with that, then once people, begin to understand that firstly, and then also we make just the UX of everything like, miles better. That's when I think we're going to see this massive shift. And that's really like the pinnacle of where us as a company are at right now, because we are building for the classic Web2 consumer who's expecting like super low latencies and perfect experiences every time, and 2 clicks to buy anything, right? And doesn't understand that sometimes transactions don't land on Solana, or you have to like resend something, like so build for that without them understanding that. And so but like we've been around for 2.5 years now, and just the infrastructure that's been delivered across the ecosystem has been mind-blowing. And even when like the market totally tanked after FTX, and everybody was like, oh my God, like builders are still building, like people were still shipping. Because everybody knows that when we inevitably get there, it's going to change everything. So yeah, that's my that's my approach to that.
That's absolutely true. I think, builders in the space, all of them have this, very unshakable belief in the fact that this technology is going to shape the future. This is the technology for now. And, if you owe it to yourself to sort of ensure that, you're deep diving into it, and one way or another, you're associated with it. I love how you put it, that, you're building for a consumer who's expecting the latency and the fast response like a Web2 app. And obviously that doesn't always happen in Web3, like we know, because of the technological constraints themselves. But so more power to you for doing this. But can you tell us a little about the traction that you've seen so far in these 2.5 years?
Oh yeah, totally. Well, I think like one of the perfect examples, honestly, is 2 weeks ago. So Blinks came out on Solana, which is just an amazing way to basically like send transactions, like blockchain links. And so we did a drop of these bottles that was like a Lehman Brothers bottle that was just sort of like a meme, but it was basically like about like the 2008 financial crisis.
2008,
all that stuff. And what was so exciting was that everybody wanted to find a way to use this new like Blink technology. Everybody was like, oh, I really want to like, use these. And they were like, oh, we can use this to buy whiskey. Cool. Like, and so we were like, like we sold like, we sold like, I don't know, like 80% of them or something like that. And the Twitter craze was like totally high, because all of the blockchain crypto people were like, oh my God, like I've been looking for a way to like use this technology and, support like this awesome company Dialect and really like use this. But, like I want whiskey too. So this is awesome that
it's a win-win.
Yeah, right. So
both ends.
Totally. So that's just been awesome on the just because the infrastructure Solana has delivered on that like crypto side of it. On the actual like, the rest of the whiskey world side of it, we've just seen massive traction in terms of people understanding that now they can sell their bottles in like an efficient marketplace. Our app, Booze app, has gone from like 30,000 monthly active users to now like 45, 50,000. And that's just because we've been able to deliver on more pricing and have them become a part and like see as we're evolving like the evolution of the app and all the things that we're trying to deliver. Quickly they're gonna you'll be able to like pay for things within the app, and it's going to be like a closer experience. And then really for the we're calling it Athena, but for the environmental sensors that we're putting into distilleries, we're actually using the Helium network. So we're using DPIN to create the net.
Nice.
I know it's always like this other thing that comes in. But we're using that just to create this IoT solution for these distilleries.
For the infrastructure bit of it. Wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just always like, that's just, I'm going down next week. We're doing like a bunch of, we're doing more like installs and things like that. And what's just so cool for them is that like working with the distillers, like they don't, I have no idea what Deepin is. Never heard of helium before. And then it's like, oh, hey, and by the way, you can get Helium Mobile for like $5 a month. And then they're like, what? So yeah, so it's just like we've just seen massive traction in the actual like products, and then you kind of sprinkle in that they're like blockchain based, and they're like, oh, what?
That's like the wow factor, right? You go in
Yeah,
with the solution and you mention that, okay, this is powered by blockchain technology, and that is just like the cherry on cake.
yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, they're like Bitcoin, like it's powered by, and I'm like, no.
Yeah,
Nice try
but
though. We'll get you there. We'll get
we'll
there.
get you there. Yeah, but this is a wonderful way of getting people more involved in the Web3 ecosystem as well. This is something of a repeated narrative that I've heard when I'm talking to founders, that especially people who are solutions that are more B2B facing. They say that, okay, build the solution and solve the problem, and then perhaps tell them later at some point that, okay, this is being powered by decentralized technology or blockchain technology, because
Totally.
initially it becomes a bit scary for them if you tell them that, okay, this is blockchain technology, because they don't fully grasp it, and they don't have the right folks either.
100%. I kind of funny story. When we first started and we were raising, it was like, I don't know, it was like summer 2021. So just valuations were insane. And we were going around talking about our company, and we're like, yeah, we're like a real world, we're real bottles, but you can buy them on the blockchain. We create NFTs of them. And they're like, why do real things? Like, just stick with NFTs. And you're like, that's not really solving the problem. And then after FTX crashed, it was like the bear. We were like talking to investors and things. They were like, why do blockchain? Just do the assets, like just create a marketplace. And now it's like, no, we need both.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's
This
funny how that's
is
all.
this is wonderful. I think as an anecdote, because this kind of shows how we move forward as well, right? Like earlier, I do feel that everybody used to be very skittish around just the term and the space. Everybody used to like sort of think that, okay, blockchain is equal to Bitcoin and nothing pretty much else. I do feel that a lot of people still think that, and we kind of have a long way to go there. But slowly and gradually, I do believe that some more information has trickled in, and people do understand why this technology is important. Have you felt that, like in your experience as well?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think the way that I've thought about it before is that it's like sometimes like with blockchain companies raising or people talking about blockchain, it's like if somebody was talking about Netflix and then was talking about how Netflix was based upon like AWS cloud and all these servers in the cloud, and it's amazing, and you can like see stuff really really fast, and it's scalable, so we can go to. And it's like, okay, nobody really cares about the infrastructure. They just want to watch a movie, like
Yeah,
whatever they
exactly.
want,
Yeah.
right? And
Like it's like the internet, right? A lot of people are online, but they don't necessarily understand all the protocols and how the internet works, right? And they
yeah, it's
don't
like
need
nobody
to.
knows what TCP/IP protocol is, and I'm like, it
Exactly.
powers your freaking life, like you know what I mean? Like
Nobody
they're like
gets into that.
HTTP, yeah,
Yeah. As long as their problem is getting solved, I think, then they're happy. Yeah. So it's
yeah,
just about that.
totally,
What
yeah,
what
yeah.
is the next big thing for you guys? Like, what's the next big milestone that you're looking forward to?
Honestly, we're doing there's so many things coming up. I think for me right now, I think I'm just really excited because we've been in this pilot phase with what we're calling like the Athena project. We haven't really landed on any. But obviously like BAXUS was like the god of wine, and Athena is the goddess of wisdom. And so the Athena project is like IoT and data in these rickhouses. So it's like, wisdom about the maturation of your whiskey. And we were
So
in a
cool.
pilot. Yeah, thank you. We were in a pilot phase for a long time with a bunch of distilleries, like, testing out the different sensors, doing installs, creating the dashboard, and now like the product is ready to, be really released, and we're, moving out of that pilot phase. And so I'm flying down to Kentucky next week, and we're doing the installs, and
Wow.
I'm just so excited to see where that goes, because we've gotten so much positive feedback, and everybody's been talking, and yeah, I just and then also that's such a like we're using Helium, like it's a deep in application, and people who are using it don't necessarily, that's not the first thing that comes to their mind. They're just like,
Yeah.
oh cool, I can see temperature, in my rick house. That's like automatically pushed to my phone, and I'm like, also, by the way, like we're extending the network coverage of like IoT, and you're a part of like, this new like decentralized, like cellular network. It's kind of amazing. Like,
Right.
we are big, and yeah. So, and then they fall asleep on our board. But I'm just very pumped about getting that and bringing that product to life.
Yeah, no, this is very, very cool and very exciting stuff. All the best for all the installations. I'm rooting for you guys. I'm sure it'll go well. You guys have been working on it for a while.
Thank you.
And yeah, you're building something which is, as you said, you've created an entire cohesive ecosystem. It's not just
Yeah.
one platform. You're working
Yeah.
on the infrastructure end. You're making sure that you're kind of checking all the boxes
Yeah.
and creating a huge moat for yourself. So more power to you guys for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you have any plans to move to any other chain as well? My understanding is that currently you're on Solana, right? So are you
Yeah.
looking to perhaps switch, do multiple chains, or are you happy with the ecosystem that Solana is brings to the table?
Oh yeah, I love Solana. I found out about it like in 2021, and we've just
Hmm.
sort of like been on the ride. And that's when I was into like the when I was first starting to understand decentralized and like really get into it. And I was like, oh, I read the white paper and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I was like, okay, I think this is the one to go with. And it's the most scalable, efficient L1 out there.
Hmm.
And with FireDancer coming out soon, they just their first block on testnet just worked, which is like a whole other validator. And so
Yeah.
the scalability and the security and the stableness and the liveness of the network is just going to increase massively. And so I've always loved Solana. And now what's been really exciting is that we've been seeing the infrastructure for apps like us to thrive, actually being built and
Right.
really, delivering on that side of things. So, so for us, like if you want to, use like your Bitcoin or use ETH or, a meme coin or whatever to buy a bottle on the marketplace, we're launching features soon so that you can do that.
Wow.
And you can actually like use another token from a different chain. But yeah, I see us staying, especially just with the marketplace right now.
Right.
The blockchain is the best chain for us to be on 100%. If we think about a different product or we want to do something else and there's another chain that suits us better, then we'll do that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, sticking to Solana. No, I think I concur with most of what you said. I think it's one of the better performing L1s currently, and it's the kind of features that's bringing in would keep it relevant, right? Because the rest of them perhaps they are also innovating, but perhaps not at that kind of speed at which Solana
Yeah,
is, and that is what is very, very important, I think, especially
totally.
in Web3.
Totally. Yeah. And it's so much cheaper than working with any
Yeah.
other chain. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And that becomes very, very important ultimately. So, can you tell us a little about your business model as well? What you follow?
Oh, sorry. My the business model just of BAXUS generally, or
Yeah, of BAXUS. Yeah.
yeah, so basically, okay, so since we have three separate products like app, web, B2B like IoT infrastructure, so we take transaction fees on all of
Hmm.
the bottles that are sold on the marketplace. It's 10%, which is, like 30% of auction houses. So we think that that's like a fair amount.
Right.
And then we charge some money just for authentication and if you want to store your bottles with us, so shipping them to the vault. And then for redemption, it's just a small fee and then shipping out of the vault if you want to actually drink your bottle. And then on the IoT side, obviously for like installations and just the
Right.
dashboard, that subscription
Right.
model.
Right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I love Web3 businesses that are like making money from day one. I think that is such a rarity in the Web3 space. And I understand that,
Good.
your business is obviously on the whiskey collectible side. It's being, powered by blockchain technology, but it's not really a blockchain company like you had mentioned.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I think it's wonderful when, the business kind of get the unit economics right and they're making money from day one. So again, really, really wonderful to hear that as well. I would love to understand from you what are the kind of platforms, apart from, say, these collectible platforms for whiskey, wines, where you see real world asset tokenization really taking off. And, you seem very impressed by those platforms personally.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely like in its infancy right now.
Yeah.
I would say that for any of the like collateralized loan platforms, I think
Hmm.
there's so much room to grow there. And I think that people are really starting to understand that they can like collateralize some different like, their NFTs or, other assets. And yeah, I would say, and then, like, I think there's a lot more governmental acceptance now, and that, like,
Yeah.
overall, like the Bitcoin ETF, and then potentially the ETH one, like, we're moving in the right direction over there. So I think we're going to be seeing in the future, like, a lot of people like understanding and just really wanting access to, ownership over all the different assets that they have. I think what I'm really excited for, and I haven't seen a lot of it yet, is really the tokenization of commodities and having that as a part of your asset. Because when you think about it, like Sol or ETH, like the main tokens of these chains, that's basically a commodity, right? And so being able to tokenize those and have that sort of market, be brought more on chain with more efficiency and liquidity. I'm really looking forward to seeing that in action.
Yeah, I think that's going to be very exciting. It created an entire asset class in itself, and that is interesting because you're giving users more choice. So that would be the right step in the right direction. As you said, that there are a lot of positive signals, that we are moving in the right direction, but obviously it never seems fast enough, or it seems too fast. I think that is that's where
So
we've
true.
caught up. So again, I keep going back and forth between by the way, your product and the ecosystem, because I'm drawing your opinion on what you have on a macro level and kind of drawing the questions from there. So now when you mentioned collateralized loans and financial instruments that can be built on top of collectibles as well,
Yeah.
right? Is that something that you guys are looking at doing as well, or is it live already? What is the status there?
Oh yeah, 100%. We have a couple of different partners who have built more of the infrastructure for that. So, I really want to build a collateralized loan protocol on Solana. That's I'm okay to leave that to other people. But to give you an example, with the distilleries that we're working with right now, they're sitting on millions of dollars of appreciating whiskey over time, right? The barrels just become more valuable as they age and then as they become bottled. And by tokenizing those and then providing that as a collateralized loan, you're able to open up this entirely new financial opportunity, especially for these smaller distilleries that might not have all the capital necessary to fund, their livelihood over the 6 years as the whiskey matures until it's actually drinkable.
Right.
And so, just like this is like one example in like one ecosystem that we've been able to do. But, as you extend that into all of these other industries that I have no idea about, and just providing more liquidity and more, just options really to people to, like be able to just make it more efficient. And yeah, so I think that sort of that option is really going to start to take off in a lot of different spaces, and maybe not just like collectibles. I think a lot of bigger companies as well.
Okay. And do you have any plans, like, in the foreseeable future, of integrating such solutions onto your platform as well?
I'm so sorry. I don't think my internet is great. Putting that solution onto our platform. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Do you have any plans in the foreseeable future for integrating such with BAXUS?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, totally. We definitely want to like allow people to have as many options for financial opportunities as possible on the platform. We're starting off with more like negotiations, so bids and offers, trades, swaps, specific timed auctions, things like that. And then for retail consumers, like allowing them to either provide liquidity for a loan or take out a loan against their collection. That would be like a next step that I think will be kind of awesome for everybody.
Okay. So your platform would obviously, there are two ways in which it grows, vertically or horizontally. So right now, you have spirits being tokenized. Are you looking to perhaps go with any other commodity or any other collectible as well in the future?
No, we are substantially attacking the vertical. We are just diving as deep as possible into that. Yeah, that's pretty huge to begin with. So we're happy.
And
We're
that's a
happy.
good way to do it, right? You can conquer a nation, then maybe, at some point look something else, but you really need to go very deep and just conquer the nation initially and get that right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now, because we've talked a lot about your product. I would like to talk about the industry as a whole and your perspective on it. Like, so some people, because we've recently seen some sell-off happening by a certain government of Bitcoin, and that has, led to a certain fall in the prices and all. But what is your take on the market scenario currently for, and what would be your advice to, say, builders as well as traders who are perhaps panicking when, the market starts falling?
Yeah. Oh, this is an interesting one. I would say, I think like at the end of the day, like Sol, ETH, these coins, they're what incentivize, the existence of the chain and keep miners processing transactions, right? That's
Right.
what they are at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
I think the sentiment of the coin is how viable the chain is, right? And it's like, and everybody's like, oh, that's one to one exactly what the value is. And what I think is that you need to take a more like holistic approach to the development and the businesses and the protocols that are being built on that chain. I would say I'm only speaking like long term. If you want to do like short term like meme trading, like I'm not your girl, but live your life. But if you're taking like a longer term approach to investing in this space, I would say follow the communities that are developing and shipping and building like cool and interesting and pushing the boundaries on new products. And then I would say invest in the sort of the tokens of that chain and of that ecosystem, because you're going to need that commodity to be able to live in that world in the future.
Right.
So in terms of like government treasury holdings and selling off of different assets, like, oh man, like I'm from Canada. I'm like, I don't know. Like as an individual, I'm like, just figure out like, who get like what sort of space gets you really excited and, what you could see in the future. And then, and then spend your time, building that up and investing there.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Like, whatever kind of excites you, look that way, because whatever is able to pique that excitement in you would also push you to perhaps explore it more, which would lead to more informed decisions, better decisions. So, you can really work from there. I think that's very good foundational advice to give. Now, again, I'm going back to BAXUS, and it just struck me that I didn't ask you about any kind of offline presence that, apart from your IoT devices, that you might be making in terms of the community that you're building, because ultimately, you need a raving ranting perhaps community that is interested in what you guys are doing, because again, this is a bit of a niche product. Not everybody really goes about investing because they don't understand, I think, this market very, very well. So this is like a question with two questions in one. A, how are you trying to mobilize the community around BAXUS? And are you doing anything on in terms of offline events or tastings to mobilize that community? And B, would be primarily around. So first, just answer the community bit. Then I'll come up with a follow-up question, because I think this might answer my follow-up question as well.
Yeah, totally. So I would say two things. So one, our app Booz app is just basically all about community and about really like allowing people to share their collections with each other and vote on fair prices and be like give the knowledge of what they have into the market.
Right.
And so that from our like product stack is what we're really interested in continuing to deliver on and invest in more features over there. In terms of offline events, yeah, my co-founder Todd is he's basically he has a Cybertruck now that we've wrapped in all like BAXUS.co branding. It's pretty awesome. It's a bit ridiculous. It's pretty awesome. But he's just an absolute, like his brain on everything, but also just on whiskey is just astounding. Like he knows everything about it. And so it's awesome to do these tastings with him. And we really love to push the tastings with people, because especially working with industry leaders who are specifically just in whiskey and don't really understand, haven't been in the technology world, creating like having Todd, having Speak come in and, and give them the understanding that like he knows so much about whiskey and he cares about this so much, like the community really responds to that, because they're like, oh, you guys like, you're just not here to like slap a technology onto a product and then hope that it works. It's like you're really trying to understand and fix the problems that exist here. And so we've been able to like now, we go to Kentucky all the time. We're going to New Orleans. Like there's just all these like communities that are popping up all over the place, and it's so much fun to do things and things like that, and just to bring out
Yeah.
like we had a launch party in December where we brought out some pre-prohibition whiskeys that everybody was able to drink.
Nice.
And
Wow.
it was just so cool, yeah, because it's like, when are you going to be able to drink a pre-prohibition whiskey? Like, like I
Yeah.
never had before. So yeah, so just fun experiences like that just really, I think, show people like what we're all about and really what we're trying to deliver on.
This is very exciting, as somebody who really enjoys whiskey, I think this is such exciting stuff. Like what you said, how, at what other point would you get a chance to taste pre-prohibition whiskey? That's not going to happen. So that's very, very exciting. So now again, I kind of did not ask you this about sourcing. So how do you go about sourcing your collection, and what is the process that you undertake there? And is it possible for users to perhaps put up their collections as well, like get in touch with you?
Oh
And
yeah,
okay, because
totally. Yeah.
I
So
think I completely missed out on that. So can you tell us a little about that
no,
as
no,
well?
no, no worries. Yeah, so it's a peer-to-peer marketplace. So
Right,
so the collection, so our vaults just store our users' assets. And so
right.
um yeah, and what's really exciting is that we've just been getting so many inbound requests to store more bottles. We've opened up
Okay.
like new vaults to just really like keep up with the capacity that we're getting. I think people are just looking for, sort of like not only just like a storage solution, if that's, what they want to do,
Hmm.
but like authentication and just the ability to, sell it whenever they want. And they can just send a
Effectively
link.
monetize something that they already have, right? Like that that
Totally.
is that is what they are trying to do. So this
Yeah.
is purely P2P, or are you like sourcing these bottles from elsewhere, from your own self as well
So
as
we're
a platform?
right now it's purely like
P2P.
person, yeah, P2P.
Okay.
We that's really like where a lot of the problems in the market are right now,
Yeah.
with just
Lack of
regular.
transparency being one of them, right? With P2P, it's difficult. So yeah, that is where the most problems would lie, I would believe as well.
Yeah.
Because like as soon as I asked you the question, I realized that okay, on the other side, it's a little more organized, right? So it might still not have those kind of problems when you're looking at auction houses and all. So yeah, I get that. Well, wonderful. So this is great. Now I would love to for the follow up question to that other question that I had when I
Yeah.
was talking about communities. I wanted to know. So what are you doing? Because I mentioned that okay, this is a very niche and asset class for people to invest in. I think there are certain geographies, obviously, that might be more in more advanced in
Yeah.
their information and knowledge, and there would be some that wouldn't really know much, and
Mhm.
people usually have this fear of really putting in their money if they don't understand an asset class well enough. Are there
So
is there anything that you're doing from your end as a platform to educate the end user or investor for this particular asset class as well? Is that something that you're doing?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think in terms of like getting somebody to want to invest in this as an asset class, like it has,
Hmm.
outperformed the S&P like for the past 10 years. It's,
Wow.
if the world comes to the
See,
end,
I didn't
you
know
can just
that.
drink it.
I did not know that. So
Yeah.
this is wonderful to know. Okay.
Totally, yeah. So, but honestly, like the bulk majority of our customer base they're just fans of, different brands. They,
Hmm.
love to drink, a glass of wine with their family on the weekend. Like they want to bring out a bottle of Macallan for a big event. Like, just
Hmm.
the classic ways that, people love to celebrate. And so, what I'm really proud of with our platform is that we have different, sort of like levels or, customer like archetypes, and you can be like a fan or you can be more of like a connoisseur, like you can have more of a collection. And it's just like, like for example, like me right now, I'm basically a fan. Like I'm starting to understand which bottles to invest in, but it's
Hmm.
only through really like going on the marketplace and seeing what's available and doing more research and, kind of understanding the lore of all of this, that you can continue to, get to that point where you would just invest, right? Because think you just really have to love it. And honestly, if you never want to invest in bottles and you just want to, if you want to buy bottles on the marketplace and then just have them shipped to you every single time, like we can do that too. That's like
Right.
that's so that's what we're built for. And so yeah, and so I think like giving people the understanding and the history behind the whiskey that they're
Hmm.
buying and that doing, that to me gets people really, then they feel like they're a part of it, then they
Right.
understand
Yeah.
like the history and they're like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I recently learned this week that the most expensive Macallan ever made was, produced by like a woman, and she was sort of like the first woman in whiskey. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm never gonna have this
Wow.
bottle. It's multiple millions of dollars, but like that's super cool. So
That is, yeah,
yeah.
that is very, very cool. You become a part of the story, right? That I think would be so exciting. Like, if I invest in a particular bottle, then I'd feel like I'm part of the story. And I took a pause because I started thinking, is it possible to do like fractional investing as well on the platform, or do you have to purchase, or you're purchasing into a particular bottle or an entire barrel? Can you do fractional investment as well?
So we're not doing fractional investing right now, because
Okay.
we really just want to enable people to, drink the bottle if they so choose.
Whatever they're
Um,
buying. Yeah.
yeah. And also like we're a collectibles marketplace. When you get into, fractionalization, then it becomes more of a security and like, it's like it's
Yeah.
whiskey at
It
the end of
comes
the
with
day,
its
right?
own hassle. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It comes with its own
exactly.
hassle. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But
no, fractionalizing
definitely,
anything would again, you'll get into a lot of compliance hurdles, I think. So yeah.
totally. Yeah. There is
Mm.
the concept of like group buying is really
Hmm.
interesting to me, and using like multi-signature wallets to have a group of people like, co-purchase an asset, which, to the end user sort of seems like you own a fraction of something, but you don't. Um
Hmm.
uh that's really interesting, and I can definitely see us going down that route for more expensive bottles or higher
Hmm.
priced casks and things like that. But
Right.
yeah, but we're looking to fractionalize things.
Okay. Yeah. No, I get it. When you mentioned the multi-million dollar bottle, I was thinking that, okay, it's perhaps a little out of reach for people who might
Yeah.
want to invest in, right? Not everybody would have that kind of money lying around. So
Yeah.
that is why that question popped into my mind. But what you're saying obviously makes sense. I have we've done gold and silver tokenization. So we did it for Tezos, and it was very hard. Like
Yeah.
the entire process with all the compliance and the kind of hoops that you have to jump through, it makes it I don't know how worth it would it be at the end. We have like over $3 million of those tokens circulating in the market, but it's not something that you can actively really build upon unless you have a lot of understanding of different jurisdictions and how because this was gold and silver at the end of the day. I think it's more regulated, and there are
Yeah.
more rules and laws around it. So yeah, I get that. And when you fractionalize it, then it becomes like an entirely more complex problem to really look at. So I get why you guys
Absolutely.
wouldn't want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And like whiskey's meant to be, enjoyed with friends at the end of the day, right? Like that, like we
Right.
don't want
Yeah.
to move too far away from that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get that. I get that. This is wonderful. I'm going to try out the platform immediately after this call, by the way. And I'm
Thank
going to
you.
see
That's
what
so
can I
kind.
sort of fit because this is exciting. And what you're building, as you said, I'm just very impressed by the fact that you guys have thought about every end of it. Like you're thinking about the infrastructure end and the platform and the user and the enterprise end. Some might say that you guys are doing too many things, but I would say that you're trying to create an ecosystem, which is going to
Yeah.
become like your moat, right? Because
Yeah.
probably in the future, like in a year or two, we'll see anybody and everybody trying to like do real world tokenization of assets, right? Because it's become such a craze
Yeah.
recently. And what you guys are doing, you're building a moat around it, so that is very powerful. And
Yeah.
so yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
mighty impressed. Okay,
Yeah.
so Carrie, now I because this has been such an insightful conversation, I don't want it to end. And people would think I'm such a fraud because I say this to almost every person I talk to, but I get so excited to see fellow builders working on such exciting things. And I'm like, I'm just in awe that, we have
That's
so
so
much to
kind.
learn. Yeah,
That's so
but
sweet. Well,
it's the truth. And I've been in this space for like I don't know, since 2011, and
yeah.
every day I meet interesting people who are building exciting things in Web3. I'm like a dinosaur in the Web3 space. I've been around
That's
since
awesome.
early mining days. So that's another story. But coming back to your story, I would love to. This is something that really irritates me when people ask me about being a female in this space. So that is not
Mhm.
what the question is around. But I would love to
Yeah.
understand the kind of challenges, because you are in two niches that perhaps have a very skewed gender ratio, right?
Yeah.
So Web3 as well as Whiskey. So I'd love to understand from you, what are the kind of challenges that you've faced in this journey of yours, and how would you perhaps recommend that other fellow builders who are perhaps facing those challenges, how do they overcome?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Yeah, I know my Canadian parents were like, wait, you're blockchain and whiskey in America? Like what?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's definitely I honestly think like for me the team that I have that I surround myself with is just amazing. Like I just love working. I learn so much from them every day, and they make this like massively daunting challenge that we are tasking ourselves with fun to figure out. And I think like just falling in love with the process, because obviously like at different events and things, like it's weird, right? Because it's like sometimes you're one of the only females there, and people won't assume that like you're technical or something. And I think it's just like it's just about like focusing on the main, like you have to really convince yourself like why you want to do this, and then what problem you're solving, and just believe that with all the might you can, and then find as many awesome people to just surround yourself with,
yeah,
and then look for that there. Yeah. Because it's definitely not like there's some, obviously I think like everybody, especially right now being so early in this space, everybody has like a story or two about something silly that happened.
yeah,
But I think like the exciting thing is that like also I think a lot of people like like for example, if I'm speaking with somebody and they don't know that I'm like the CTO, and then I'm like, oh yeah, like like I invented this, or like I built this with my team, then they just get more excited. And then
right,
like a lot of the guys on our team, they're all like girl dads, and so all of their daughters, I'm like, it's super fun because they're like, oh cool,
yeah,
like I love technology too, like I'd love to build this. And so I think people just haven't really seen it before. I don't, and I think when they see some, like somebody like that, they're like, oh, cool, okay, like this could also happen.
yeah.
So yeah, no, so definitely. But my team is just like the best, and I just love working with them. And our like Slack GIF, gifts back and forth just make my day. So yeah, so I would definitely say that. Yeah.
Hmm. So I think, yeah, and the importance of having a good set of people, team around you becomes very, very important when you're and I think entrepreneurship in general can be very, very challenging for anybody,
Yeah.
be it
Oh,
male, female, it doesn't matter. So,
totally.
having a robust team around you becomes super important. Before, I ask you the last question, and before we wrap this up, I would love for you to tell us a little about the team, because, you mentioned how brilliant they are. Can you
Yeah,
would you like to tell us a little about them? And are you like guys fully remote, or are you guys working,
totally.
together from any city?
Yeah, so my co-founder lives in New Jersey, so she's in New Jersey. So we're basically the only ones who are in New York, New Jersey, and then we're basically like completely spread out. We're fully remote, though.
Mm,
The majority, I have 6 engineers who are in Medellin in Colombia, and so I've been able to go
okay.
there. We were in Cartagena one time, and then Medellin twice. So I've been there 3 times now, and we've done like
Wow.
hackathons. It's been like so much
Nice.
fun. And then we have another engineer who's in Brazil. Haven't
Mm.
been there yet. I want to go. I actually, I'm learning Spanish now. It's really bad, but it's super fun because now we all get to like, I'm like kind of like picking up on things. I know all the really bad slang, swear words in like Medellin, like area, which is kind of funny. And then yeah, our Scott, who is our lead product, he's in Oregon, and then Rich, who's our new COO, he's in Michigan, and they both founded Booz App, and they're just it's a dream to work with them. Rich and I originally did the installs for Athena, and just really like he was all
Wow.
like talking to all the customers, and then I was like figuring it out, plugging in the pipes in the back end, and it's just awesome. I'm like, can you please like email people, and then I can just figure it out, and it's just the best working with him. And Scott just has this like brilliant ability to like be able to understand like what 20,000 people need, and then work with a designer, and then build a product, and
Right.
then they're like, oh, how did I not live with this before? And
Hmm.
it's such a skill having that, like when somebody who can actually like do product really well is so rare to find.
Hmm.
It's freaking just the best. So Yeah, so it's just that's the sort of we have marketing, and then we have our whole data team that just works on combing through all of the data that we need for Booz App, which is just such a massive, monumental
Yeah.
task. And they're just able to really like power through and work through all of that, and also like understand and have to learn like all the specific whiskey knowledge that like is just this whole other beast in and of itself.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're building out our new, we're getting more on the marketing side. And we just had a new Jasmine, who's our new marketing lead, and then we also we're Finn, he's like our chief growth officer, and then Morgan. So they're working more on like the institutional side and thinking about casks and sort of more financial opportunities over there. So yeah, the team's kind of stacked. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's like we're finally at this point where it's like everybody just has such a belief and has just this like fire, and it's like this really lovely symbiosis that we're in right now. And like 6 months ago there were like what 8 of us maybe, so yes, it's exciting how much we've developed.
Awesome. That's brilliant. I'm so, I wanted to get the team involved because you mentioned that, you guys are so privileged to be working and happy to be working around such a brilliant team. And I do think ultimately, one person with a good intention can only do so much. And it's the team that kind of really scales the platform. So they should be
Completely.
mentioned when we are talking so heavily about
Oh,
the platform as well.
oh, totally. Yeah. Like, and it's just so exciting because when you get people who are as bought in as you are, then everybody can do the same volume of work, but in parallel. So you can just
Yeah.
get so many more things done over time. And it's
Right.
like, God, like, yeah, I know like our project boards now, I'm like, damn, like we're just moving along. Like it's really, yeah, it's super fun.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, once again, thank you so much, Carrie, for making the time to speak to me today. I would want you to answer this one question before, we wrap this up. If you had to give perhaps advice to somebody who is perhaps in the Web2 space or looking to build into Web3, what would
Mhm.
be your top two, three suggestions, or even perhaps the potential user for them to start
Yeah.
living on blockchain?
I would say the first thing, which I mentioned earlier, is just think about like some of the current interactions that you're having, like from a financial perspective, and think like, wait, does this make sense? Like,
Hmm.
is this really working? And then like start a phantom wallet, like pocket change, like buy like $10 or something, and the majority of the conversation right now is on Twitter, which some people can deal with, some people can't deal with. But
Yeah.
just start to like understand not just what's going on in the markets, but what the potential future is of the technology and where, like where it could go and what it could lead to, and try to find like the signal through all the noise that's going on, which is really hard to do. But I think
Yeah.
like, yeah, but yeah, I don't know if that's a great answer. It's a hard question, like getting
No,
into
but
block.
I think that's a great answer because you
Yeah.
have to ultimately get your hands dirty if you want to get involved in the technology, if you want to build, or even just be more aware, like of what this technology can potentially do to a user and how they are interacting with this new tech age, right? So I think
Totally.
it's very important to get involved, and you should be able to glean off information and then make an informed choice and informed
Yeah.
decision. Those are very important characteristics for you to be able to get in the space or stay or survive in the space as well.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you so much once again for making the time to speak to me. This was a very wonderful conversation, a very different conversation. I learned quite a bit, and I'm sure that our viewers have learned quite a bit as well. Any parting words before we wrap this up?
No, just thank you so much for having me. I think like what we're trying to do is sort of it's a difficult challenge because it's a fair
Right.
critique that we're doing so many different things, and we're trying to incorporate a new technology. But I think like the future of this, and like if somebody's gonna fix it, and it might as well be us, and
Yeah.
uh
Yeah.
and it's just awesome to be part of this space and work with all these amazing builders and just really be a part of it. So thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been awesome to just be able to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I can see you, you light up when you talk about it. And it's not a critique. Like, somebody very wise told me once that when you're, some people might think that when you're doing too many things, it's perhaps incorrect and not the right thing to do because you're not going deep
Yeah.
enough, but you're working in a niche and you're creating a moat for yourself. So never
Mhm.
think of this as like a chink in your armor. You're creating a moat, and that is what is gonna get you through. So
Yeah.
don't think of it like that at all, because I don't think that
Yeah.
that particular critique applies to you.
Oh, well, honestly, I really appreciate that. And like convincing ourselves and the team of like being able to tackle this. That's like when we got there, we were like, yeah, okay. I was like, this is the only way to do it. Like we just have to do it, you
Yeah.
know? So no, I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Carrie, for this conversation, and more power to you again.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.